From her nude fashion stunts to her refusal to ever settle with a partner for long, Diana redefined what it meant to be wild. But how far did she really go? This is the untold story of Diana Rigg's crazy sex life. Born in a time when women were expected always to take the back seat, Diana Rigg lit a match and set the rulebook on fire by becoming a walking temptation. Men worshipped her, and women admired her, because why not? Diana commanded attention both on and off screen with her sharp wit, sultry charm, and a taste for doing things her way. And the press couldn't get enough. By the early 1960s, Diana was already turning heads on stage, but 1965 changed everything. When she got the role of Emma Peel, she was ready. She brought brains, beauty, and bravery to the character. Thanks to the talented Diana, Emma Peel became a breath of fresh air to women's traditional roles on TV. Her acting helped shape a new kind of female role model. Rather than waiting to be saved, her character was the one doing the saving. Surprisingly or not, Diana was just as bold off-screen as she was on stage. Her private life was filled with the same adventures she acted out on camera. In this period, she began a relationship with British TV director Philip Saville. The twist? He was married. Their affair was well publicized and often described as a living in sin relationship, partly because Philip was married at the time. But Diana didn't care for societal norms. The more people condemned her, the more she stayed. She blatantly said she had no desire to be respectable. In an interview with The Guardian, the 80-year-old veteran actress said, "Becoming a sex symbol overnight shocked me. The overwhelming attention came during her iconic role as Emma Peel in The Avengers. While on set for the series, Diana could hardly get a breather as the press made it a hobby to constantly sexualize her. Photographers just could not get enough of her leather catsuit, and her pictures made it to the cover of many issues." On her own part, the movie star had a rather weird outlook on love and relationships. Her initial time with Philip Saville was full of passion, but like many of her relationships, it didn't last. Still, that didn't mean it failed, and she wasn't bothered even in the least. For Diana, any relationship she entered was an experience and a chance to grow. Being with Philip gave her the freedom to explore life without the pressure of expectations. But eventually, she moved on. She had to, not because he wasn't good enough, but because she was always searching for something more. Diana was a big star, too full of life to be tied down for long. By the late 1960s, Diana Rigg had many admirers. However, her relationships were full of surprises, and she was always open about them. One of her most talked about romances was with George Lazenby, the actor who played James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. While he was busy being 007, Diana stole the spotlight off screen. Their time together was short, but again, full of passion. Diana wasn't looking to settle down. She was still true to who she was. And the title sex symbol remained. Another relationship that caught the public's attention was with John le Carré, who wrote spy stories like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Their love carried a lot of fire, but didn't last long. Diana wasn't the kind of woman who could be tamed, a perfect definition of a wild horse. In 1969, she made headlines by boldly saying marriage wasn't necessary. That must have shocked many people. But not everyone was shocked because, for others, especially young women, her words were inspiring. She wasn't hiding who she was. She believed love came in many forms and followed her heart wherever it led her. Diana also snatched the spotlight in the early 70s when she appeared nude on Broadway. At that point, she did not care how the public would take the stunt. All that mattered to her was that she was doing what she had in mind, and critics were unforgiving as they sneered at her in the pettiest ways possible. One that stuck with her for years was when she was told that she was built like a brick mausoleum with insufficient flying buttresses. The words stung at the time. Years later, Rigg laughed it off, saying, "He should have seen me after the menopause." There was no shortfall then. When Michael Parkinson first interviewed Diana Rigg in 1972, he was instantly captivated. Years later, he described her as the most desirable woman he'd ever met. He also said she had a lustrous beauty that lit up the room and left everyone a little breathless. She kept working in theatre and film, and her talent never faded. it didn't even show a weakening sign. Later generations came to know her as Olenna Tyrell on Game of Thrones, a clever and sharp-tongued queen who stole every scene she was in. This role reminded the world of how brilliant Diana Rigg had always been. Even in her later years, she was still fierce, funny, and full of energy. As mentioned earlier, Diana Rigg didn't live her life quietly. Far from it. She made bold choices and stood by them. In fact, she seemed to enjoy shaking things up. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was full. Full of love, laughter, freedom, and fire. She later settled with Archie Sterling, the man who would become her husband after her 3-year marriage to Menachem Geffen. They got married in 1982, and their marriage lasted until he cheated on her in 1990. The marriage was pretty long for someone who didn't want to commit, but the truth was that this relationship was different. Diana's partnership with Archie was steadier and quieter, but still full of love. They had their daughter together, Rachel, and Diana adored her. But even as a wife and mother, did Diana change? Absolutely not. She stayed true to herself. She didn't let society define what her marriage or motherhood should look like. She kept her personal life private and close to her heart. Even in old age, Diana was still acting in movies, TV shows, and on stage. But she was also finding new ways to shock and surprise people. She remained fierce and unpredictable in her bold choices, both on and off the screen. But behind the camera and beneath the glamour and confidence, there were signs that the fast-paced lifestyle was catching up to her. As the years went by, Diana finally chose a quieter life. In the 1990s, she stepped away from the spotlight. She focused on painting and used her art to express all the feelings and experiences she had lived through. From all perspectives, this was a new chapter, and it was calmer too, but just as full of meaning. In a June 2015 interview with the AV Club, Diana played her usual stunt when she talked fondly about her time with Patrick Macnee on The Avengers, despite their 16-year age gap. I sort of vaguely knew Patrick, and he looked kindly on me, sort of guided me through the first couple of episodes. After that, we were equals. We had a real spark, and loved working together. Though they hadn't seen each other in years, she added, "You stay close to someone you shared that kind of work with. I was really fond of him." One of Diana Rigg's most persistent habits was smoking. Yes, she was a heavy smoker for much of her life, a trait not uncommon among stars of her era. But for Diana, it was way more than just a trait. She started smoking at the age of 18, and 20 cigarettes a day was not a big deal. In December 2017, she finally gave up smoking after falling seriously ill and having to undergo heart surgery just 2 months earlier. Talking about her ailment, she joked, "My heart actually stopped during the procedure. I must have gone up there, and the good Lord took one look and said, 'Send the old bag back, I'm not having her yet.'" However, smoking over the years had already taken a toll on her health, and during a European tour with her band, things went wrong and she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Sadly, Dame Diana Rigg passed away on 10th September 2020 at the age of 82 at the London home of her daughter, Rachel Sterling. Her death came only 6 months after her diagnosis, and she chose to spend her final months in the comfort of her family, surrounded by loved ones. Her death ended a remarkable journey that lit up the worlds of theatre, film, and television for over 60 years. She was like a star whose brilliance reached across galaxies before fading into the night. What is the craziest Diana Rigg story that you've ever heard? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates. While you're still here, click the video on your screen for more celebrity videos.